the T's and C's of
We're
Life
back!
podcast.
You missed us.
It's been a deeply anticipated return for the two of us to come back to the podcast. We've been trying to do it for weeks. We were going to record for Christmas, but you forget about how fucking busy it gets on that last week before Christmas. Like, we'll do a Christmas podcast and a New Year's podcast.
Nah.
But of course, I was working in the care home, and night shifts really fuck up our opportunity to be able to make time to record.
Yes. Yeah, life gets in the way, doesn't it?
It does. So we wanted to come back, all guns blazing, and talk about, we're on episode 7, aren't we?
Is it 7
Yeah,
now?
we're fairly churning through the episodes.
Wow. Gold.
Out with the arms again. Choo-choo!
God. Okay. Yeah.
I think we should talk about the impact of what New Year has on people, and whether goal setting can sometimes trigger people, and setting New Year's resolutions I think are a load of shite. But it is a new year, and you do want to set your intentions or set goals or set a plan for the year ahead, and whether that's...
I think that there for me already was the difference. From New Year's resolutions, I think that term immediately gets dismissed because it's faffy.
Yeah.
Whereas setting your intentions for the year, that already to me sounds better. Yeah. That's like, oh right, I can do that and I can stick to that because that's my intentions. It's not...
Yeah. And it's fluid as well. Like if it changes throughout the year, that doesn't matter. And I think that's a massive thing or a massive reason as to why when I have set goals previously, like in years before, or not goals, but done New Year's resolutions, and it's been like, well, everybody else is doing it, so I feel like I should do something as well. And I was never behind anything, because I was never that way inclined to think. I was very much living for the moment. Every day was what mattered. It wasn't 6 months ahead or even a month ahead, really. Okay. It was just about the day.
What's happening now?
Yeah.
See, I have set probably New Year's resolutions every day or every year that I could ever remember, and without a shadow of a doubt, they have always been, want to lose weight, I want to be healthier. This year's no different.
But a lot of people only do them like the first month as well. Yeah. It's a New Year's resolution for January.
But that is generally, I have my own issues with food and weight, but I don't know why I feel different this year. And I think because I haven't set it as a New Year's resolution, I have set it as an intention. I have set that I'm planning the year of how, and I've got my goal for next year of where it's taking me. It's not just I want to lose weight and that I'm perfect, obviously. But I feel like my head's in a different place at the minute.
What do you think it is that's made it? What's been the switch?
I don't know. I do. I suppose I do. In a way, I do. That you have actually, like your book and now that other book that you've... I'm embracing the law of attraction. Yeah. To be fair, which you have been saying it to me for a very long time. My sister has been saying it to me for a very long time. I am generally a positive person. So I think I dismiss it as, I'm doing what I'm doing anyway. But it doesn't matter. And whereas now, taking it on board and taking some of the little lessons and going, okay, let's put it out in the universe. Let's make this different. Yeah. It makes sense, which... Sorry, Stacey, but it does make sense. But
the book that Tanya's just referred to is a book that I stumbled across. I think I was having some random scroll
for a
through.
Change. Yeah. Your book addiction.
A random scroll through Kindle. Actually, I wasn't planning. I was at work and I wanted something to read, and I hadn't taken a book with me, so I thought I'll have a look on Kindle and see what there is. And this book came up, and it's called The Last Law of Attraction book you'll ever read. And I was like, what a fucking load of shit. Who calls their book that? Honestly, the last law of attraction book you'll ever need or ever read. And but I was intrigued because I thought, well, why is it the last book I'll ever need? So I read the reviews and I read the blurb, and I was like, oh my God, this the way the guy writes is absolutely amazing. Like it's like he's reading my mind as I'm reading his words, and he writes in a very similar way to which I converse with myself, like my self-talk. Yeah. And it just struck a chord with me, so I downloaded it. It was like £2.49 or something.
It was cheap.
Yeah, it was. And I was absolutely bowled over by the depth that he goes into in the book, and the simplicity of what he talks about, and the simple the simple rules that the law of attraction follows, but that's where a lot of people stumble themselves up on. It's so simple that your ego, your natural, that part of yourself that you don't see, that bit that talks to you, your ego, it tells you that it's too simple.
Just for our listeners that maybe don't know as much, because the term ego was one that got me, I didn't really understand it. You've said it to me before in the past about ego. When I think of ego, I suppose I always thought of like being quite egocentric and quite full of yourself, that kind of ego. Mm-hmm. Whereas actually when you say ego, that's not necessarily what you mean. It's
like a kind of more psychological term would be your monkey mind. Right. The part of you that's the part of your brain that tries to keep you safe. It's the caveman part of you. Yeah. It's forever striving to keep you where you are at each stage. So even as you progress, your caveman mind won't take you back to being a child. It progresses with you as you grow, slowly and safely. It doesn't like it when you do things that contradict how you have thought up to that point or how you've lived up to that point. Any sort of change, it conflicts with your ego. And it's a funny word to get used to.
It really is. It took me a long time to fully understand, and now I know it makes so much more sense. And it's sort of like when I think of when I started part, that from having the fault to actually putting it in place, and it was my ego going no, because it didn't want me. It's that part that doesn't want to fail. Yeah, I guess so. It's keeping me safe by going, let's not risk that. Yeah. Like I could take a risk in something else. Like I'll do 20 shots. It's not a risk. It's fun. But but when it comes to like improving yourself, that's scary and it's difficult. But I'm learning to sort of put myself out there and
when you identify the difference and you can separate it from just yourself, and it's separate it even from your limiting beliefs, because your limiting beliefs are not necessarily your ego either. Your limiting beliefs are things that you have learned to understand as things that you feel are not available to you. Yeah. So when you can separate yourself from your ego, it's then easy to tapping the microphone with my pen. It's easy to then identify when it's raising its head, and it raises its head all day long. Yeah. When you begin to identify when, like, it's easy to say, well, I'm a positive person. I think positive thoughts all day long. But then, for example, let's say you have a fallout with a friend or something, and then your ego starts telling you you're not that positive because look at you, you're bitching about her in your head right now, aren't you? And then you start to spiral, then you think, am I the person I think I am? Yeah. And you then start to downwards spiral into, it makes you feel really shitty about yourself. But if you can identify that actually your ego's going to be speaking to you in your head, you're going to be hearing these thoughts. And it's not like, you might saying the word speaking to yourself, it might trigger some people and thinking, well, I'm not fucking crazy. Yeah. But everybody speaks to themselves. Everybody has thoughts that they hear, and whether they process them or not, then they're always there. Your subconscious is always there. So how do you
suggest to say, like, when you are trying to embrace the law of attraction, you're trying to do that positivity or that just getting it out there, and your ego's coming in, to say, for example, I've given up sweets and chocolate and bread and crisp and alcohol and everything else that's fun in my life. I've given up for January, and it's more about, just for me, it's about just getting rid of the habit because I've just got an issue. But sometimes I feel I'm like, I've got it, it's cool, and then my ego goes, yeah, but one sweet won't hurt.
Yeah, well, my ego right now, as you're asking me that, is telling me you don't have a good enough answer for her right now, do you? You can't give her the full answer. You can't give her what it is that she's looking for, because she's looking for a quick answer, and you can't give it to her, Claire. You can't give it to her, Claire. Oh, and that's what as you're talking there, I'm hearing my ego and I'm thinking, why? Why am I even thinking like this? Yeah. Why is the thought even there? Because I know I have the answer for you. I know that the ego is just something that you can, it's not something that you can instantly switch off. It's something that you learn to understand, you learn to embrace it. But when you team it up with, for example, having an attitude of gratitude, so practicing what, listing what you're grateful for every day, changing the way you consciously think and forcing yourself to think in other ways, but not forcing yourself in a way that is creating something, so that you're not doing it for another reason.
Right, okay.
You're simply just doing it because it feels good. You're changing the way you think. So you're grateful for the lovely breakfast that you chose to have this morning. You're grateful for the fact your lights are on in the ceiling. You're grateful for the fact that you've got heater warmth coming out from the radiators on your walls. And changing the way that you can raise your vibration, because everything in our universe is vibrating on a atomic level, and that is one of the hardest things to understand and get your head around, because a solid object like steel, concrete, wood, it's not vibrating.
No, it is. It's
you look
not...
at it and you think it's not, but it is. Everything vibrates. Every physical thing vibrates on a different frequency, and that is the structure of that frequency that gives it, that forms the physical shapes. And it doesn't necessarily explain why the ego works. I know, but
but the thing, I think that's part of the thing. It is very simple, but it also takes some sort of time to process. When you've had thoughts the whole time of how things are, I'm generally I'm quite a rational person.
Yeah,
that things are black and white, but they're not. There is all this grey in the middle, and it is starting to accept that and think about things differently.
Well, you're not trying to force yourself to change the way that you think. You're trying to force yourself into changing the things that you think about. And so that you're choosing to feel better about shitty things. So let's, for example, say you've had your fight with your friend and you're feeling really shit about it. She sent you a really crubby message. Crubby isn't even a word.
Crubby.
I was crummy. I was
crubby word.
I was going to say shitty, but I thought I'm going to try and curve back the language.
And look what happened. That did not work. Just use it.
And your ego will all of a sudden will start telling you that she hates you, that you're a terrible friend, that she's never gonna forget this, even when you've recovered, once you've healed your rift, you're always she's always gonna remember that. But you can change that to then be like, well, do you know what? I'm really grateful for the fact that I've got a really loving friend who is passionate enough to be upset with me over something that I've said. And I'm really grateful for the fact that I was brave enough to say what I was thinking out loud. Yeah. So changing the way you think about what's happened helps you to heal what's occurred in the first place anyway. And when it happens, like in your relationship, that's a big one, because when you live with somebody and they're causing you conflict, like whenever Trev and I are going through our difficult times, which we haven't done for a while, but now I've said that, Chris, we're gonna have a month-long blow it.
God, I'm touching wood for now.
I'm gonna screw my hand to that bloody bookcase now. When we have our challenging times, it's very, very difficult for me to keep that energetic balance for myself, and to maintain that level of positivity that I like to feel within myself. And I'm not doing it to be all happy clappy. I'm doing it because it feels good to me. It makes my heart sing. That's that's who I am to my core. But when something rocks my boat, it is harder to stay afloat. And that's when, if you have like a journaling practice, or whether you have your gratitude rampage that you do every day, whether it's in the morning or it's at bedtime, like topping and tailing your day with even just 3 or 4 things that you're grateful for, it's an amazing thing to do, and it changes the way that you think. And that's the small things that habits build upon, is the small little incremental changes that you can make in your day. And it's amazing how those little changes, like if you find yourself going on like having a pity party about something for like say 20 minutes or something, and then all of a sudden you see a picture on the wall, or you see a quote online, you're like, fucking hell, that's all I needed just to snap myself out of it. And that's that, but allowing yourself that ability to recognise when you're not having the train of thought that serves you well. And I was on social media the other week. I think I was telling you about my little elf hug on my thumb. Yes. Yeah, so I seen this little ring, and it's hands that kind of go around your thumb, and it looks like a hug. And I thought, part of me thought it's really creepy, because it's like a tiny person clung on to the inside of your thumb. Yeah, now you said that. Silver hands. But I thought, I've always thought about having something, always thought about getting a tattoo. It's the only time I've ever wanted to get a tattoo.
You've got none, have you?
Oh, I don't have a single one. No. But whenever I have thought about having one, I've thought I'd like to have one on my left thumb as a little reminder to stay grateful
Right.
And it's just something that would catch my eye. And every time I've seen it, or if anyone ever seen it and asked me what it was, it's an opportunity to talk about like how you feel and what the constant reminder is for yourself to feel better. So I thought I'd buy this little ring and I'd wear it. I did buy it, but I didn't buy it from the advert because it was like nearly 20 quid. So I found a nice Chinese version for less than £4.
It's going to take how long?
It's going to take about a month to come. Yes, I know.
It's all right. You can be grateful in the meantime that it's coming.
But even that in itself, that lack of money in terms of the difference in what I paid and the time. Why? Why did I feel the need to have to save myself 15 quid?
Yeah.
When I could have just had something that was going to be really nice and that I'd have worn for all I'd be wearing it right now. I wouldn't just be. Do you know what? That day, did I tell you? I actually drew. I drew the hands on my thumb just to see what it would look like. Totally not look like in silver at all. And it was a little bit fucking creepy because one of the hands I drew was 6 fingers.
Oh, what, really?
But it served a purpose. And I thought,
yes,
it's a little reminder. It's that constant reminder. So whether you have things that, I've done some trainings before where they've done deep hypnosis and they've tried to get you to, I think there's pressure points between your thumb and your mid finger, and when you press them, you're then taken back to this point in the meditation or the hypnosis that makes you feel happy or elated about an event that's happened. But that, to me, you've got to then bring conscious thought into bringing your thumb and your middle finger together, and that just, to me, that didn't work. Right, so it's about finding what works for you, whether, like, having reminders on your phone. I ignore reminders on my phone. Right. I've got a reminder that comes up on my phone to send a meter reading in every month for my electricity company. I don't do it. Because I resent doing it. Because they're going to put my electricity up if I do it. So that in itself is a bad energy to hold. But having little reminders, there's apps, there's all sorts of things. Yeah, well, I've got
the gratitude app, which I've been doing since like the 1st of Jan. And it's just because I think I needed something to prompt me and to give me a structure. It doesn't, because it should, but I didn't figure out how to use it. Okay. But now, at the end of the day, I have a routine now at the end of the day. So I put in my gratitude. I've got like a habit tracker as well, where I track if I have caved, and I haven't so far, so it's all right. But, and it's been really cool to do it. So there's 2 parts that I'm doing at the moment. There's a challenge where it tells you or gives you a theme of what to be grateful for. So like yesterday's was hope. So the theme was hope. So what things have you been grateful for that hope is involved? So it was like the hope that, I can't even remember now what I was grateful for last night. I was hopeful of something, but I can't think what it was.
It's interesting to note that when you do practice your gratitude, and if you're using it in terms of what what intentions you set for the year, that you always talk in the present.
Yes.
Or the present.
That is really powerful. It's really powerful. And it's not something that we do naturally. We just sort of go, I want to do this, or like, I want part to be successful this year. Whereas now I'm sort of going, part is going to be successful this year. I keep saying part is successful, that this is my year of money. I'm making loads of money. Yeah. And it's that present, it's there. And I can feel my brain as I say it ticking in a different way of, is this how we're working now? Which is brilliant. Like, and I'm intrigued to see how far this can go and how big it can go, and if the things that I'm not kidding myself that everything's going to be immediate, which I think I'm not setting myself up to fail, which I think I often do, whereas I'm just sort of putting it out there and it's going to come, but it's cool because at the moment I'm chilling, I'm cool. It's all right.
But don't you find that the process is actually really fun? It's like that eager anticipation as to what's going to happen next. Like, you're inviting amazing, cool stuff. Like, the law of attraction always uses the path of least resistance, which, like, it's not like as the crow flies. It's like it bounds you from one goalpost to another. Yeah. And logically, it doesn't never really make sense of how you actually got to where you wanted to be. And when I look at things that have happened to me, I mean, look at this podcast, for example. Yeah. When I first thought, or when somebody first said to me, why don't you do a podcast? I was like, oh my God, doing a podcast? No way. Like, by myself, that's just, and I instantly started thinking, well, I don't have the staff. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who my audience would be. It kind of conflicts with my other business. And is it really the best way? But actually, the podcast is one of my favourite things about my business and doing it with you. Yeah. And I think maybe it is doing it with you that makes it so fun because...
Yeah, I don't think I would have enjoyed it. Well, I know I wouldn't enjoyed it, definitely, as much without you. Yeah. I think it's made it, and I think as well, not just throwing smoke up your ass, but I think you are a pusher for me. I'm my pusher. You're my pimp.
I'm the taker.
You do. I hear your voice in my head sometimes that reminds me to do something and not to slack off or give up. Even the fact that, like the running, that me and Claire have decided we are going to be runners. Yeah. And we go very early in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but I wake up and I'm like, oh, no, Claire's going to fuck me up. Claire's going to fuck me up. Get up. And it does. It makes me get up. And then I love it. Once I'm out and I'm running.
It is good. It's lovely.
But I need that. I need that voice to sort of push me. And I think that's a really positive thing. And I think with the podcast, when I said it to you, you were into action. Yeah. I probably would have dwindled and gone, all right, we'll do it. You were just like, right, come on then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, which I need that. Sometimes I need that kick up the arse to go, because I know it's the ego of going, oh, but are you sure? And I do every time I record. Was it okay? Are you sure it's all right?
Yeah. I know, but I guess you have to give yourself a bit of a break on all this as well, because it is natural. Like, we're not changing human behaviour with any of this. It's recognising what makes you tick, what makes your heart sing, what makes your ego speak louder, and finding a balance is all about balance. Everything in life's about balance, and you want to tip that balance in the direction of making your heart sing more than the chat that your ego has with you. Because the ego is great because it's kept you safe, it's kept you alive to this point, but it also doesn't want you to get any bigger than what you are right now. Not physically, but energetically bigger than what you are. It just wants you to slowly and safely get along the road to your grave without too many hiccups along the way. Which is cool. That's its role in our human existence, is to keep us safe.
Yeah, but when we're constantly striving for better, then we do have to find other ways to
silence it and keep it and make your voice that little bit louder.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does, and I think it's not always easy. That last week I was gone. My head had gone. I was out of it. The first week of January, as people that know me, is a very tough week for one of my besties. It's a really shitty week, and it affects all of our lives, and it will forever. And it does take that time to sort of rebalance my brain to go, the world is not a shit place. The world is not evil. The world is crap. And I can feel my brain doing it, and it takes me sometimes longer than others or quicker than others or whatever to pull myself back and go, okay, no. And I think the way I tend to do it is friends. I think last week I spoke to so many of my mates that sort of just remind me that the world isn't evil, and evil things do happen and shitty things do happen, and we'll never get over that. But we have to somehow sort of carry on and get that balance back. And it is just about the balance. It's not about forgetting or letting it go, because we couldn't anyway. But we get that balance and we go, right, okay, we have to keep going. So how do we keep going? And that's what I have, hopefully, I feel back balanced this week in my mind, which is good. I didn't feel like it was going to happen for a bit. But
you gave yourself the time to get through it as well. You didn't force yourself. You weren't breaking down over it. You were just quietly experiencing what you were feeling to yourself and to the people that you chose to speak to about it. Yeah. And I think knowing that it comes every year helps, because it's, when things all of a sudden spring upon you, they're hard to manage because they've come from nowhere. But when you know that it's coming, that's sometimes even harder, because you know it's unavoidable. You know that you're going to feel really... And it's a horrible... I haven't experienced what your friend has gone through, but to go through something that is going to be a constant reminder every single year, it's not nice to know that time is looming on the calendar. And it's especially... anything that happens around at Christmas and New Year is just emphasised. It just is so much worse, because you're forcibly supposed to be happy. Yeah. You're supposed to be elated. You're supposed to be... having the best time of your life because it's Christmas, it's New Year, it's, everyone's having a great time and getting pissed. And then all of a sudden things change, and it's hard. But in terms of like when I was little, I think the first time I ever set myself a New Year's resolution, I was like 12, and where I grew up, in Scotland, I come from a farm, and I don't know if it's an English thing actually. I haven't heard it, but in the area that I come from, anyway, all the farmers let off a gunshot or a few gunshots at midnight, and that is the done thing. Wherever you are on Hogmanay, which is New Year's Eve, wherever your party is, Dad always disappears at 10 to 12. And he goes, off to go, let off the gun. And off he goes, sets off the shotgun. It's like 3 shots. And it's really cool to stand and listen to, because just across the valley, and it really is like a valley, like a gully through the area that we live in. And the sounds are amazing. Like, they just kind of like echo off the hills, and it's fucking awesome. It's really cool. And one year my dad let me do the gunshots. Oh, wow. Yeah, but I didn't have ear defenders on, and I knew shotguns were loud, but I hadn't thought about how loud, and I did 3 shots, and my poor little ears, like I couldn't hear for days.
Oh wow!
I think I might have been about 14 or 15.
Life.
I know, I know. It's I really missed it this year, not being up there.
Yeah.
But I set my first New Year's resolution when I was about 12. Like, positive thinking and goal setting and things wasn't something that I grew up with. The law of attraction, that was just, I had no idea what it was when somebody mentioned it to me, first of all. So it wasn't a conversation that we had on Hogmanay or on New Year's Day. It wasn't like, well, what would you like to achieve this year? Like, do you want to read a certain amount of books this year? Would you like to get a certain grade at school? It was just another day. It was just another year. It was just regular. And I guess it maybe is for a lot of people. But it is really helpful at the beginning of the year to start deciding what you want for yourself. Even if it's small stuff like, I want to donate more to charity. I want to recycle more in my home. A couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted to try and go as plastic free in the bathroom as I could. And I started crocheting soap savers and... I
remember.
I think a few people got them for Christmas that year.
Look what Claire's made again.
But it was great, it really, it took me, I was probably halfway through the year before I really looked at my bathroom and thought, fucking hell, I still haven't gone plastic free. Because I tried plastic free toothpaste, and that was just a mish. It came in like a little glass dish with a spatula. Do you know what? These things are all fantastic if you don't have fucking children.
Yes.
Children wreck everything.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, I could be plastic free personally, but add my kids to the mix. Jesus.
No.
I think Aidan went in one point, like, dug out half the thing to put on his toothpaste. And
Charlie
I was like,
would write on the walls or something.
£16?
Yeah, it wouldn't work. I'd be like that. Fuck off.
But it was a lovely challenge to set myself. It doesn't... Yeah. It's not about life-changing stuff, or it can be about life-changing stuff, but if setting goals is something that triggers you, then set the small stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I have really wanted to, and I've kind of resisted this whole concept of not buying any new clothes this year. I want to try and buy only second hand, unless it's a special occasion. But as I'm already talking myself out of it because I'm on a weight loss journey this year, I feel that is kind of a little bit ill-advised, and I might just be looking a little bit like a tramp once I actually get to my dream weight, and I'm like, I can only wear stuff from the charity shop down the road. So,
I'm skinny but trampy.
Yeah. So I'll make conscious decisions about what I buy. In terms of fashion, and try not to use fast fashion sites, and spend more on the clothes that I wear so that I'm enjoying them more, getting more wear out of them.
But again, it is just focusing on something that's going to benefit you, and I think thinking back as well on why this year as well is more important, I think that COVID's been shit.
Yeah, it has.
It's been different, and it's, for me personally, it hasn't rocked my world in the way that it would have others, and I can fully embrace that I work from home a lot anyway. My kids are cool. They've got their devices that they can use to do their work, that we live in a lovely place. There's been perks for me. Part has taken off virtually in a way that I would never have thought it. But that human contact factor is the biggest part for me in my life generally, and my family and my friends, and not having those things I've sort of gone, I think now I'm sort of like, do you know what? I'm just going to make the most of things, and I'm just going to take the positives, and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to work towards it. And if it's not happening now, because we're still in fucking lockdown, that it's okay, because after that, this will happen and that will happen. And I've always needed plans. If my diary's empty, I sort of lose the plot. I need something to look forward to, something where I know whether I'm with my friends or my family, I'm doing that. And if it gets changed, then that's cool at the moment, but I need it in my diary. I need that. And that's why even at the moment I've got holiday for next year. That is the big thing. But then also holiday for this year, probably in the UK, but that's cool because it would be with my mum and with my family. And that's already, I can see us all just chilling in a house and my mum wandering around not knowing who any of us are. But still, she'll be happy, she'll be smiling.
The joys of the early onset dementia.
It is, honestly. You're like, it's all right, mum. It's me. But we'll all be together, and I can't wait. And that is going to happen. I know, I can feel it. I can feel the fun and the happiness. And because I wouldn't have eaten bread, sugar, fucking sweets or whatever else I'm not eating, I'm going to be skinny too. I will.
This, for the first time in a very, very long time, is the first year where I have nothing. Not a single thing in my diary for the year. It's all work. It's all about writing books. It's all about books and podcasts this year for me. But in terms of holidays, visits, I've said
how does that feel?
It feels good. It feels like I've got a blank canvas. It feels like I can actually focus and concentrate. Because since we moved to Kent 12 years ago, we've had visitors, and I love having visitors. I really, really love cramming my little house full of extra people and extra beds and extra mouths to feed. I love it. And last year, all of my guests that were supposed to come down and visit all got cancelled because we were earlier on in the year. Yeah. So we never had anybody down. And I kind of liked it. I got my book written. I got the things that I wanted to do done because I wasn't distracted. And as much as having family down is lovely, part of the excitement for me of having somebody down is knowing that they're coming. Like, it's only 3 weeks until they're going to be here. We're going to go out and do that. Yeah, the countdown. I fucking love it. Yeah, I really, weirdly thrive on it. Okay. And I didn't have that last year. And it's such a distraction because I start thinking to myself, well, if I start this and what if I don't finish it and they come, then it's going to put me back, or I'll just not be able to think about it, and then I'll just wait. It's my ego saying it's okay to wait. It's okay to wait that little bit longer. It's okay to not do that book. Yes. So I actually said to Trev that I don't think we're going to have any trip to Scotland this year, and that will be the first year. Oh, wow. I know, and I even saying it out loud, I'm like, oh fuck, I hope the family aren't listening, because if I go back on it, they're going to be on you. Thought you weren't fucking coming. Oh, I know, and I've never not gone up, and I expect if people are allowed to travel that they will come down to visit, but I've actually said to myself, I'm not having anybody in the house this year either, because I want to move. I'm totally clearing the energy in this house. Like, I'm fully focusing on projecting us into like visualising our new home and moving house and buying a house. Yeah. And I just want clear energy for that. I want clear headspace. I want a clear area around me, and that for me is my diary. I need that to be clear. I want things in it. Yeah, there'll be lots of things that will come up and will in it.
Claire's summer barbecue. My favourite day of the year. Get very drunk and stumble out.
I know, it's good. Trev he's
the light of my life, Trev. Yeah. Drunk Trev.
I know. He's like so cool. the party mascot, isn't he? Fuck you, fuck.
He is, he's brilliant. Every year, Claire's birthday's in May and Trev's. Sorry, Trev, we always say Claire's birthday. I know. Claire and Trev's birthdays are in May, and Claire will always have a party barbecue, and we just all come together, and sometimes we have a theme, which has been fun, and sometimes we just get very drunk. Well, we always get very drunk, but it's just lovely. It's just in your back garden.
It marks the beginning of summer, doesn't it? It's that last weekend in May, and it's so much fun.
It really is.
It really is, and everybody comes. It's one of those things, one of those gatherings as our group of friends. Yeah. That, like, even Kaz and Craig have said they'll come down for it if they're allowed to this year, that they'll come down.
Well, this is, I think, that's sort of our goal point, that by then the world has got to be fucking normal by May, doesn't it? It's got to.
You know what, I honestly don't think. And I think that's another reason why I'm keeping my year clear, is because I don't like disappointment. I don't like it when my plans have to change. Last year, do you remember that earlier on in the year, Bonnie and I had said that we were going to go on holiday. Yeah. And then there was a very small window in the summer where we could actually move around freely. We weren't in lockdown. And that we did actually get to go. So last year, although COVID is horrendous, like I work in a nursing home, I see it firsthand. I've been with people as they've passed away. Yeah. It's awful, but for me and the impact it's had on my family, it hasn't rocked our waves that much at all. No. I think being a key worker makes it, I feel quite special. Like I've got a little bit of a superpower. Like my kids can go to school whether people agree with that or not. Don't really give a fuck. They're going anyway. No. I work nights, so I can't give the kids my time to homeschool them on that week that I'm working. But as a result, last year, like when I wanted to do something, it was okay. Like things weren't kind of put in my way. So it's really nice to have that blank canvas this year and just be like, the world is my oyster, and all the things that I am projecting and that I'm looking forward to in terms of publishing more books, promoting the podcast so it becomes even bigger. Yes. I'm excited about having the time and the energy to want to do that.
And that's it. I think we've got to take from this crappy time that we have been given that gift of time. Some of us, I know that obviously there are deaths and that's fucking shitty. But for those that may have that extra time that you wouldn't have had, whether it's because you're working at home, so you've not got the commute, or you've been furloughed, and I know that can come with shit, but you've got that time that maybe at home, I know people garden and shit, I don't get that, but right, that you could do that.
You've got the nicest garden as well, you've got the best garden.
It's dogs, the garden's for the dogs, it's not for me.
Such a shame.
One day, I'll concrete it. No.
But if you're finding, I mean, I know COVID, like lockdown, everything about it. I hate even the word COVID. Who says it? Like I started saying it now. It's a horrible word.
It is a shit word.
But it's really affecting the way that people feel, like not being able to see their friends. And I know some of our listeners live by themselves. They work remotely at home by themselves, and they're not seeing anybody. Like I can't imagine what that must feel like. My house is full. Like I'm going out to work, I'm coming home and I'm going to bed. I'm like, yes, thank God the kids are at school. Yeah. And I'm still, my life is relatively this new weird normal that I've adapted to, where I cycled home from school this morning, from preschool. Like I cycled home to preschool, and we have to wear our masks when we drop off the kids now. Okay. And he wanted me to take his bike home, and I thought, because I didn't want to ask them to put it inside the school because it's a thing from home and all that jazz. So I thought I'll take it home. So it means carrying his push bike
while you're cycling.
Whilst I'm cycling, And then I realised whilst I was just turning off at the parade at the shops, that I still had my mask on. So then I started trying to try to get it down off my face so I could breathe properly. And I couldn't because my hand was stuck on the bike. I had the other one under the bike, and I was like, I think I could go. I used to go no-handed, and I thought I was slightly lifted. I was like, no, I can't go no-handed.
Those days have gone.
I can't fall in the middle of the road with a bike under one arm. So I cycled home with my face mask on my face, and I felt like such an idiot.
But see, some people would have looked at you and probably thought you were doing that on purpose.
Girl. Yeah, you sensible girl.
Very sensible
Good
young lady. Yeah, like, no, I'm trying to get the fucker off. Do you know, and it's so weird because this time last year, so what's the date? 13th. But within a couple of days, I would have been going to Thailand. It's all right. It's okay, I'm fine. But so that was really exciting for me. The beginning of last year. And I remember being in Thailand, and obviously it's one of those places like Bangkok is smoggy and it's hot, and everyone has got on masks. Yeah. And you get on the tube, and everyone's got on the masks. And I remember looking and thinking, that is just weird.
Yeah, I know.
Like, how do you breathe? And where it was so hot as well, it was like, how are you wearing that mask? Mm-hmm. And then for this to get, it was like not even remotely in my brain, like coming back from Thailand. The only thing I was thinking of is when am I going back? Mm-hmm. Like, not that I'm coming back to a world that eventually is going to start slowly shutting down, but we have survived it. Yeah. Like, we have, a lot of us have. We are doing so well, and there are, like, we're not going to get into debates on other stuff like vaccines and stuff, but there is going to be an end in sight. There will be, and I think we have to try and take those positives that we've had.
You do. You have to take from every day, from every shit day that you're feeling. You have to, even more than ever, you've got to be grateful for something, you have to take small mercy from the tiniest, the postie putting something through your letterbox, you know, a phone call coming through, or a random text message, or a happy thought that you had in amongst the glimmer of dreaminess.
It's even the bloody Zoom calls, which obviously, because for work I am all day on some kind of Zoom platform, but even with some of my mates, that there's some of them that live in Croydon that are some of my best mates, and we talk all day on WhatsApp, but actually we will do Zoom calls, and it's lovely because I probably see them more when we're not in person, but I see their faces. We interact in a way that we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have done a Zoom call like this time last year, because it was like, well, why would we do that? We'll just arrange a day out, which I'd still rather the day out. I know. But it means that we've got that option. That
imagine, like I was saying this to somebody the other day, if we didn't have online conference calls. If
this had happened, say when I was Bella's age, so at 12, say, so year 7 of my life, which was 1992, fucking old, that there was no phones, there weren't computers. We did have Sky. I always remember getting Sky and being like, oh my God, I've got more than 4 channels. I remember
as well the day that it happened.
It's so exciting. Yeah. But that would have been it. And you'd think, because in my head I'm like, yeah, but I'd spend time with my mates. Yeah. No, you wouldn't, because you're in lockdown. Yeah. So you're just stuck in your ass, learning wise in your ass. I'm back in Croydon, that's why. In my head, I'm back in Croydon. But yeah, it would have been, we are very fortunate that it's happened now as opposed to then, because I know my 12-year-old brain would have gone, fuck this, I'm going out. Yeah. I know I would. I know exactly what I was like, that I wouldn't have had.
The spread of information would have been slow. I mean, I suppose you've got TVs and things. It's not like the Dark Ages. But
having that fucking old. Wow. Pigeons are coming round and sending messages.
By candlelight.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Well.
No, I think, like, even this morning when we were out running, we were talking about you had this need for a desk and you needed it to be facing outwards, and I questioned as to why that was. And you said, well, because of video calls and not having people in the background. It's like, it's such a modern problem. I wouldn't have thought of that because, well, we don't have to do video calls at home, well, apart from working, but I only do them if there's nobody here. Yeah. So, what a modern problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just, it's something that you'd never have thought about. And it's not a sort, and it's, I think for a lot of businesses now, they will go that way, which will have its pros and cons for a lot of people. Like, I've always worked from home for a certain element. Yeah. Like, I go into school, I come back, I do my paperwork from home. But there are certain things that now I will be able to do from home, like even when the world is normal, that why change it for certain things, because it does actually work very well. We can reach, like I said, with Part now, I did the presentations before Christmas, and for like 200 kids in one go. I could do that for kids in Scotland. Yeah. Do it for kids in fucking America. Like, you know, I did a training course the other day and the bloke was American, or it was from America, Baltimore. And it was like...
Oh, how cool.
It was so cool. He's like, I was like that. You talk cool. It was talking about trauma and shit. It was not good. But his voice made it better. Yeah. So, but that wouldn't have... That was there, I'm sure. But now that's been ramped up to a point where that's enhanced my learning. Yeah. I'm reaching more people through Part. We're reaching more people through my day job. I've got to take those bonuses.
I mean, everything in life happens for a reason, and it's sometimes actually hard to digest, especially when it's something that's happened that's really not very pleasant. It's a death, or you've lost somebody's missing from your life. Yeah. But in terms of like this global pandemic, you know, it has happened for a reason. You know, we're learning, and we're adapting to it, and that is it's a great thing. You know, it's awful how people have been impacted and how people have lost their lives. And I had COVID myself last year, and so did you. Although it was when you came back from Thailand.
I think when I came back from Thailand, I had COVID because I was floored.
Because Kaz reckons she had it when she came back from, where was she? Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. That is that.
Qatar. I was like. Should we record that as a little sound effect?
No, please don't. It's so bad. But yeah. And I think at the time, I remember coming back and just, I couldn't breathe. I was floored, and I had to take, like, I'd not long been back of holiday, and I had to take time off work, and I was like, shit, this is shit. But it floored me, and I've been fine since. Like, it's, So I assume, but at the time we didn't really know because it wasn't even properly. I think I remember hearing stirrings of it being in somewhere else in the world when we was, and especially being in Thailand because it was China, so it's, although they're actually quite far away, but you know, it's that side, I suppose you're thinking, but didn't even think about it until everything started coming out, and I was like, yep, cough, yep, head, yep, just crap. That never stopped eating. I've never lost that ability. I don't think anything.
Did you not lose your taste or your smell?
I can't remember.
Oh God, I didn't have it for like 6 weeks. It was so annoying.
Did you still eat through it though?
Yeah, I did, but it was just really disheartening. Like you'd eat something and you think, oh, what was the point? I can't even smell if it tastes right. I can't taste if it's good.
So it was just eating for the sake of eating. Oh, you were eating
for the sake of eating. Yeah.
Not enjoyment.
No, not at all.
No, because I remember when you had it and you were floored. It did proper take you out. Yeah. And you think we've recovered, we're fine. That I was listening to something the other day of someone talking about it, and what I never fully realised, and I watched a programme that my friend Joe told me to watch, and the bloke had got it, and although he recovered physically, it affected him mentally. It sort of gave him like the effects of brain damage, which I never really had known that much about that aspect, that it could affect you like that, but I suppose it's oxygen leaving your brain and all of that kind of stuff. But that then is going to affect his life forever and his family's life. And then I think it was Mark Wright from Ciao was saying about his dad the other day, that his dad's been in hospital with it and has come out, but he's not brain-wise, he's not himself. And you think, how can something floor us that much that it's going to take out our mental functions as well as our physical functions? That, it's a shit show. But
if you take the severity of the situation aside, and just work on your little bubble, what can make you and your household what joys can you take? What are you now doing that you weren't doing before? Like, we weren't going out for family walks in the fields out behind our houses.
No, we wouldn't have done this.
No, we probably wouldn't have.
I don't think we would have. I don't think we would have felt that we had the time, although, as you say in your book, we always do have the time. But I don't think we would have come round to it in the way that it did. But it just felt more. It sprung. I think part of it was from that of being at home.
I think it'd be really useful for people to write a list of things that maybe they do now that they didn't before. The good and the bad. That's a really nice idea. They were the good and the bad. Yeah.
That is a really nice idea, in the good, not like the bad. But the good of writing what have been your positives from this time? So the last 10 months, has it been? What has been different about your lives that COVID has done? And I guarantee, and I guarantee, I'm putting the money where my mouth is and saying, I bet that you can at least one.
Yeah, there'll
positive.
Be something.
There'll be at least one.
That is unique to your experience of COVID, like being locked down, having to homeschool. Yeah. I wonder, the people who maybe did really want to homeschool their children before all this, do they still want to?
No, they fucking don't.
I'm not against homeschooling. I think it's great for if it suits your child and it suits your family and it's the right thing. But if you're just doing it because you hate the system, then that's obviously not the right reason to do it. But I wonder how many people have said, "Oh, I love this. I really love this homeschooling lark."
But even for me, because mine are teens and they pretty much get on with it. But I tell you what, for my certain middle child, who I've spoken about a lot, who I love to pieces, it's actually perfect for him, which I'd never thought about. He will never be homeschooled. As soon as he can go back to school, he's going back to school. But it's just shown that there may be things sometimes that get in the way in a classroom that they're not actually built for or haven't got the time for, or whatever else they want, excuses they want to make. Whereas at home, he just gets on with it. He's eating me out of house and home, but it's fine as long as you do it in your corner, away from me. Don't talk to me, don't look at me. I'm working. Go away.
Oh, well, on that note, I think we should leave it there, because we want it, like, do you know what, for this year, let's set an intention that we're gonna bring the time back, okay? We're going to start...
Have we ever? Have any of them?
They've never been 30 minutes. Like, we promised they were going to be 30 minutes at the start. But look, let's make this one less than 50.
Okay, go on.
My washing machine, she's going to spin as well.
Yeah, so that might be good timing. Well, thank you for coming back.
Happy New Year!
Yeah, Happy New Year. Look after yourselves. Bye.
Love you.